Welcome to Tonia's Kitchen, where taste and nutrition go hand in hand. Here is Tonia King.
Joining me today is cookbook author Sarah Ahn, and today we're talking about the brand new book, Umma. Is that right, Sarah? Is that the way you pronounce it?
You're close. It's Umma, but it's pretty hard to say.
Yeah, so it's Umma?
Yes, that's perfect.
Is this your first book, Sarah?
This is my first book. That's correct.
And it's all about bringing together the love of Korean cooking with your mother. What a special treat to be able to just share that love of food with your mother. Tell me a little bit about your concept for the book.
Yeah, so it really started with Honest Kitchen. That's my social handle, AHNEST Kitchen, where I started this journey of collecting my mom's recipe in 2018 when I needed some fulfillment in my life, working my first full-time job. And it started with me just, taking notes in my notebook. And then I eventually realized this is getting too messy because in Asian cuisine, many of our moms don't use measuring spoons. And then I transferred everything online and just decided to make it into a blog, where I posted the recipes for everyone to see. And then once I started to combine that with social media, people really picked up on our recipes, but also the storytelling that I incorporate into it.
I was going to bring that up because that is a very cool feature of the book, just having your stories that go along with each recipe.
Yeah, so I've always been kind of a writer, I would say, and just I speak the truth of what the reality of life is, kind of the beauty in the mundane, the richness in the ordinary. And I think people have found that refreshing, which I admire because it's something we should celebrate.
Oh, absolutely. So did you grow up cooking with your mom?
I grew up watching my mom cook every day. She eventually opened a restaurant, so she's always been a very passionate cook.
And I was just wondering how much hands-on experience that you had, growing up with learning from her.
Oh, fully hands-on. My family comes from the restaurant industry. My uncle, who developed a lot of the dessert recipes, if not all, he owned a bakery. So I've only known really the restaurant industry growing up.
How would you describe Korean cooking for those that may not have any experience or knowledge of it?
I would say Korean cooking tastes and feels like a grandma's hug. It's something that you always want to return home to. It makes you feel at home. And the biggest takeaway with Korean cooking is that it might look intimidating at first because maybe you're unfamiliar with the ingredients, but it's really a very easy cuisine to conquer because I'm not a professional cook to the extent that my mom is, despite, watching her cook my entire life. But I retested all the recipes after we finished developing all the recipes, and it went through our publisher, America's Test Kitchen, where they polished it up and cleaned it up with their test cooks. I retested all of them, and my mom stood there watching me retest them, and they're all doable. There's nothing that a beginner can't do, which I think is the most surprising factor about Korean cooking.
Oh, yeah. I know going through the book, definitely cannot pronounce most of the names, but the pictures are so beautiful and, it really bring you into wanting to try cooking some of these dishes.
Yeah, I agree.
Tell me how you combined maybe preserving some of the traditions with maybe more of a modern take on what's going on now in the kitchen.
I would say, well, we definitely went into this book with intention of mixing in traditional recipes plus modern ingredients and modern recipes as well. For me, it was really important that we still keep traditional recipes traditional. Like, for example, kimchi recipes, we have two kimchi recipes. For those who are not familiar with kimchi, the one that you eat, the one that's most commonly sold at your local store, is made with napa cabbage. And most cookbooks just have one kimchi recipe featuring napa cabbage, but we decided to put two, where one is a bit more modern, where you cut up the kimchi and then you add the seasonings. And the second one is uncut traditional kimchi, where it's kept in its entire form. And we decided to keep both because how do you not feature a traditional recipe that, helped people through harsh winter months in the past and like what our ancestors ate. And so we honor those recipes, but then we also have recipes where it uses ingredients that, saves you so much time in the kitchen, such as anchovy broth tablets.
Well, speaking of the recipes, I'd love for you to get into detail and share a couple with me from the book.
Yeah, so we have an egg drop soup. it's a quick soup. It comes together very quick. You just put water and a broth tablet that you use, and we give you the exact brand that we recommend. And then you drop in eggs in there, and it creates this rich, fluffy breakfast meal that you can make on the go. It's kind of like our lazy meal. And then we also have modern desserts that are popular in Korea. That's very hard to get here in the States, even in LA, where my uncle, who used to own a bakery and is currently a head pastry chef, shares all these secrets of Korean pastries, and it's all in the book, from salt bread, milk cream donuts that features 2 inches of cream, peanut streusel bread, all of the Korean classics and trendy recipes. So the milk cream donuts is something that my uncle developed with me. It's a donut where, you have your classic yeasted donut. But the thing with Asian food is that we like our desserts not too sweet. So the
Right.
donut is just slightly sweetened. And then once it's all yeasted and it's risen up, you fry it like your classic donut. And then after that, we make this really creamy, airy, delicate whipped cream. And it's heavy cream with just the right amount of sugar. Because in Asian pastries, we use whipping cream, not frosting, to decorate our cakes, or in this case, make this donut. And
Oh.
then, yeah, so then you split the donut in half, because the donut is just the circular shape. Open it up, and then you fill it in with 2 inches of this just delicate cream.
Oh, yummy.
And then we decorate it with strawberries across, once it's fully, packed in. And this recipe, when I shared it with people at America's Test Kitchen, because my uncle went to the office and made it for them so that we could capture this for its photography. And then when I made it at home with my uncle, I shared it with some of my friends in the content creation space. At America's Test Kitchen, we stocked it in the take-home fridge. People were literally running across the office to get to it because that's how good it was. And then when I shared it with my friends, again, mind you, this recipe was originally developed from Korea. They said this tasted better than the ones we just had in Korea when we went on vacation.
Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. And that was originated from your uncle.
Yes, who was trained in Korea and has been baking for many decades.
That really sounds interesting. It sounds pretty doable, pretty easy to make.
It's actually very easy to make because I made it on my own, and I have no baking background because my mom's a cook. Our
Yeah.
oven is filled with pots and pans. It's not used to bake. Um, and once I saw my uncle make this, I followed the recipe and I was able to make it just as beautifully as him. So it's very doable. You just make the bread, use the yeast to make it rise, then you fry it, and then you whip the cream, and then you just put that in between the donut.
Pretty straightforward.
Hmm.
All right. Let's do another one.
Kimchi. I mean, how can we not talk about kimchi, right?
Right. So how do you make your kimchi? And I know you said you have two different recipes.
Yes, so we have two different recipes. We have the traditional one, which is the uncut one, and then we of course have the cut one. The cut one is the one that we make year round. That's the one that we're most familiar with. And that one is very special because it uses fresh chili peppers. And that's my mom's kind of secret ingredient that makes her kimchi stand out. The kimchi recipe, again, it's so unique and so different that when I have relatives from Korea try it, they're like, okay, something about this kimchi is making it very special. What ingredient are you using? And they always sit at the dinner table taking notes of how to make my mom's kimchi, which I think says something. But kimchi, again, is also a very simple food to make. I know a lot of people think it's intimidating, but when we have a long list of food to make, my mom's just like, oh, thankfully, like we just have to make kimchi, which is easy. So kimchi, you just salt the kimchi and you do a dry brine. And then once you do a dry brine, you rinse it. And then you add all the seasonings, which is shrimp paste, the gochugaru, Korean red chili flakes, fish sauce, plum extract syrup, the fresh chili peppers that I mentioned earlier, garlic, ginger. You mix it all together, and then you have this fantastic kimchi.
And it's so good for you.
It is. It's actually apparently full of probiotics, but it's interesting because that's how it's marketed in America. We
Yeah.
always see it's like full of probiotics, like a superfood, a health food. But in Korea, we don't market it like that. It's more so just damn good.
Oh, I love it. That's great. That's great. Yeah, I think more and more people are really getting into kimchi.
I think so too. And I think it's more so the Korean cuisine as well. I was just at the Cheesecake Factory and we're going from, people just trying to incorporate Asian cuisine to them being very specific of deliberately putting Korean fried chicken or like Korean style poppers. And it's just like, oh, interesting.
Oh, they're just adding that to maybe entice people to explore a little bit more.
I think so, which is great to see. And hopefully it opens doors for other cuisines to be seen as well.
Absolutely. Let's talk about another one. So many really good looking recipes in this book. What else would you
Yeah.
like to share?
I would say you have to check out the banchan section. So in Korean, banchan is side dishes, and it makes up the majority of the table. It's just where you have all these small servings of different foods. The most familiar of the banchan you may have experienced is at Korean barbecue.
Ooh,
And of the banchan, that it's our biggest chapter in the book because it's the biggest part of the dinner table that makes up, all the foods.
right.
I would say one of my favorites, I mean, all of them are my favorite, but a good one is the braised baby potatoes. It's known as al kamja chori. And this one, it's very simple. It's just where you braise these baby potatoes. The potatoes are about an inch long with
Yeah.
different sauces, soy sauce, a little sweetener, cooking oil, salt, sugar, sesame seed, and just a little pinch of gochugaru, which is Korean chili flakes. And then the potato skin, it starts to shrivel up and get, like crystallize almost like a diamond or something.
Ooh,
And the flavors just all come together and caramelizes on the potatoes, and it creates this, potato dish that you've never had before that's so nuanced, full of flavor. And it just like when you take a bite into it, you feel this pop from the skin because it's been crystallized, and then a rush of flavors come into your mouth that's just savory, umami, rich, buttery, and just full of goodness.
sounds absolutely delightful. It's interesting because the spices seem to really play a big part of all the different recipes.
Yeah, Koreans definitely use a lot of seasonings, and sugar is one of them too. And a common critique Korean cuisine often gets is that we put sugar in everything. But to us, it's not because we're trying to sweeten the dish. That's not what sugar is used for. Sugar is used as a seasoning to balance the dish, and that's why you see it commonly listed as an ingredient. Speaking of the sugar, we sprinkle sugar on our kimchi grilled cheese. And that's a fun recipe because it's a fusion of two cuisines, American and Korean. And a fun fact, that was actually our hardest recipe to develop in the book.
Really?
Yes. And we weren't expecting that because we were just gonna be like, okay, it's just kimchi, cheese, and bread. It should be
Right.
easy to develop, right?
Right. Right.
No, it was hands down the hardest recipe, but the easiest recipe to make because the ingredients are common in both households, whether it's Korean or American, and if you follow those cuisines. For that recipe, we had to find out what was the best cheese, what was the best sourdough to make this an extraordinary kimchi grilled cheese.
Right. What
And
did you find?
sourdough is, of course, the best bread. Any sturdy bread works, but sourdough, because it has that fermentation flavor, it
Sure.
adds to the kimchi and it complements it very well. We tested out over $100 of cheeses, and everyone was saying, use this cheese because there's a great pull. Use this cheese because, it's great in grilled cheese. And we tested it all out, but it wouldn't complement the kimchi, which was it's pivotal that the kimchi stands out.
Right.
And so what really stood out was Munster cheese.
Really?
Yeah. And the Munster cheese also gives this magnificent pull. So it does everything that you need while complementing the kimchi. And then, well, you know how like when you make kimchi grilled cheese, there's also butter involved typically, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
When you use butter, you're adding this fat into the kimchi, and then the flavors of the kimchi then gets muted. So it was really important that you re-season the kimchi, not just saute it with a little bit of sesame oil, or just putting the kimchi in the sandwich. You have to re-season it with just a little bit more seasonings like onion powder, garlic powder, a little fish sauce, and then it brings life back into the kimchi and not get muted by the butter, the cheese, and the sourdough.
Wow. That sounds like a very special grilled cheese
It's
by all
very
means.
special. And then we
Yeah.
finish it with a sprinkle of sugar. Again, and people were like, why are you adding sweetness? Okay, like a little pinch of sugar that's not even a 16th of a teaspoon does not add sweetness to the grilled cheese. It just balances it all out so that when you bite into it, you have a millisecond of sweetness, and then it eases you into the buttery, umami-rich, tangy kimchi grilled cheese.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because Munster cheese is not a strong cheese. It's really mellow.
which is what you want with kimchi.
It's interesting that you chose that you had to, go through a variety of them until you found the one that really worked. That sounds like an interesting recipe.
Absolutely. I'm getting flashbacks when you said you went through all the cheeses.
How long did it take you to put this book together?
We had about a year, just a little over a year, like a year and 2 months to develop all of this.
It really must have been fun working with your mother. I really wish I would have had the opportunity to do that. What a special thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I learned who my mom was before she was a mom and when she was a daughter calling for her mom. And so it's been a surreal experience, to be quite honest.
We're talking with Sarah Ahn. The brand new book is called Umma.
Yes.
How can we find you on social media?
Yes. So on social media, I go by Honest Kitchen. That's AHNEST Kitchen.
That is just an exciting project to have undertaken. So I congratulate you that you finished it, and it's a beautiful book. I wish you lots of luck with it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in. We hope you'll subscribe to this podcast as we continue to take you around the world of food and wine on Tonia's Kitchen.